Today, we're going to dig into this really surprising connection between 19th century railways and, the most cutting edge AI. It's a story that actually reveals a fundamental secret about how artificial intelligence understands our world. And yeah, it all kicks off with a simple train schedule. So, what do 1870s trains and modern AI have in common? It sounds like a bit of a riddle, doesn't it? I mean, on one hand, you've got steam, iron, and all this Victorian engineering. And on the other, you have neural networks and massive language models. But believe it or not, they share a deep, fundamental problem. And here's the real twist. The problem they share has absolutely nothing to do with how fast the trains could run or how fast algorithms can process. Nope, it's about something way more subtle. This kind of hidden friction that can bring even the fastest systems to a total grinding halt.
To really get this, we've got to travel back in time. So let's go. Our story starts right in the heart of the Industrial Revolution, with a crisis that was threatening to completely derail Britain's economic expansion. Okay, picture this. London, 1872. Trains are crisscrossing the country. Stations are just bustling with people. Tracks are connecting all the major cities. The whole system is physically there. It works. But behind the scenes, it's just pure chaos. And this right here, this is the heart of that chaos. You see, every single railway company basically spoke its own language. I mean, just imagine trying to coordinate a simple trip when one schedule uses a 12-hour clock and another one's on a 24-hour clock. Or what if Manchester is abbreviated as MAN by one company, but MCR by another? Every single transfer turned into this complex, time-sucking puzzle that someone had to decode. And the crazy thing is, the trains themselves were incredible feats of engineering, real marvels of speed for their time. The bottleneck wasn't the tech, it wasn't the transportation, it was the information. The system for coordinating all those fast trains was painfully, disastrously slow. So this is where a guy named George Finley steps into the picture. He was a railway superintendent, and he wasn't just seeing the problem, he was actually measuring it. And the solution he came up with, well, it was as elegant as it was radical. Findlay actually did the math. And get this, he calculated that railway dispatchers were spending a staggering 40% of their entire workday not dispatching trains, but just translating between all these different incompatible custom schedules. 40%. Nearly half of all their effort was just completely lost in translation. And this was his whole argument, right here. He went to all these competing railway executives and said, look, this isn't about which company's system is better. It's about getting rid of the time we waste interpreting all of them. For the entire system to get faster, he argued, everyone had to start speaking the same language. And this slide just shows you the incredible result. By 1875, the standard was in place. And the outcome? A jaw-dropping 70% drop in coordination time. The trains weren't any faster, the tracks were exactly the same, but the whole system's efficiency just skyrocketed. All because that translation overhead was gone. Okay, so let's fast forward 150 years. Because that exact same problem of translation overhead is playing out right now, inside the digital minds of AI systems that are trying to make sense of our world. This brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer, something called AI recall velocity. It's not just if an AI can find and understand your business, it's how fast it can do it. And just like with those old railways, that speed is all about getting rid of any and all interpretation delay. Okay, this right here, this is the aha moment. Take a look at this table. If you call yourself a marketing agency, that's a standard, well-understood term, and AI gets it instantly. Boom, classified. But if you call yourself something like brand experience architects, the AI has to pause. It has to think, interpret, decode, and translate that creative language into a category it understands. And that pause, that's the delay we're talking about. And that delay has serious consequences. I mean, in the super high-speed world of AI, a system that's trying to be efficient will either classify you slowly, which puts you at a disadvantage, or it might just skip you entirely because the effort to figure out what you are isn't worth the processing time. You literally become invisible. So we get the problem, right? The big question is, how do we fix it? Well, that brings us to the recall velocity model, which is basically a practical framework to make sure AI can classify you instantly. It really just breaks down into 4 simple steps. First, you gotta audit. Find out how quickly AI understands you right now. Second, you architect.
You choose the standard industry-recognized terms for what you do. Third, you enforce. Use that exact language consistently everywhere. And finally, you optimize. You test it and measure how much faster your classification speed has become.
So what can you do, like, today? Start by asking an AI like ChatGPT or Gemini what kind of business you are. If it struggles or gives you a fuzzy answer, that's a huge red flag. Ditch the flowery, creative descriptions for standard, boring industry terms. Then, and this is important, make sure those standard terms are in your website's back-end code, specifically something called schema markup. It's designed for exactly this. And finally, you have to be absolutely relentless about using the same language across all your platforms. Then, just test again and see the difference.
Now, at this point, I know what a lot of you are probably thinking. Does this mean I have to strip my brand of everything that makes it creative and unique just to please an algorithm? And you know what? That is a totally fair question.
So let's just ask it directly. Does using standards mean you can't stand out from the crowd? Does being understood by a machine mean you have to be boring to a human? The answer, thankfully, is a definitive no.
The key is to start thinking of your brand's identity as having two different layers. You have the classification layer, which is built for machines. Its only job is instant recall, and you get that through standardization. But then you have the differentiation layer. That's for humans. Its purpose is to build preference, and this is where you unleash all your creativity, your unique voice, your awesome idea. So really, it all just comes down to this. Think about it. The railway companies used standard schedules so they could be found and coordinated, but they competed on things like service, better routes, and comfort to be chosen. For your business in the age of AI, the lesson is exactly the same. Before a customer can choose you, an algorithm has to see you. And for an algorithm to see you, it has to classify you. And it has to do it instantly.